Hey everyone, it's Will from GARAGEBUILT Athlete here, and I'm going to do a follow-up video on the NuRecover ice bath. It's giving you some hints and some tips, things that I've found over the past 2 months of using the ice bath. Common questions that I've been asked, addressing some comments from the last video. If you haven't seen the last video where I did an unboxing and a close-up look at the ice bath, go back and check that out on the channel and let us know what you think. Now, if you're watching this video, you probably are considering buying an ice bath. And good news is that if you did want a NuRecover ice bath, which is what I'm sat in right now, there is a link in the comments and in the description where you can get yourself a discount. Hit that link, go to the site, use the code GBA15 at the checkout, and it is a discount on anything on the store. It's not a first time offer. It's not solely for ice baths. They've got other recovery tools on there. So go ahead, click that link and save yourself a bit of money. So I'm going to talk about getting the temperature down, having the ideal setup and thinking about what's going to work for you. I get a lot of questions about keeping the water clean, so we're going to have a talk about that. And I've been using the ice bath for almost 2 months now, and I've been using it regularly. I'd say a minimum of 5 times a week for upwards of 5 minutes per session. There's lots of studies been done, and you can look up more information on those by just Googling ice bath studies or looking at the Huberman Labs cold plunge information. Andrew Huberman does a podcast and goes into tons of detail about the benefits of cold plunge and also heat shock therapies and many different topics. And there you'll find, in summary, that in a week, 11 minutes deliberate cold exposure can get a great deal of benefits for your body and for your mind. Now that 11 minutes is over the course of a week, it doesn't have to be all in one go, and it will depend on the temperature of your ice bath. The colder the temperature that you have, the less time you'll need to spend in it to feel the benefits. If your water is a bit warmer, like mine is today, hot outside, then you would want to stay in it for more time over the course of a week. You want the water to be cold enough that you don't want to stay in it, but you still are able to. That's the ideal temperature. Now that can vary from person to person, but the idea is that you are shocking your system into having that reaction with the cold to start your brain and your body working to increase your body temperature, and with all of that comes the benefits. Now, for me personally, I don't want to overhype anything. I never do. I'm very keen to give an honest opinion, and I often am more critical than I am full of praise for things. Apart from the Rad 1 trainer, that is, if you go check out that review, poof, baby, that's a good shoe. What I have found from doing the cold exposure is I feel like I recover better from workouts. That was one of the things that I wanted to get from it, is that after a heavy session, whether that be powerlifting, weightlifting, CrossFit, cardio, whatever that might be, that I would be able to recover quicker and go into the next session feeling a bit fresher and a bit less ground down from training. What I will say, it is not a magic cure. You don't just jump in it and you feel instantly better. I do have some existing knee injuries and some shoulder issues, which they don't clear up after 5 minutes in the ice bath, but I feel like they improve from continually doing the cold exposure. And I also wanted to try and see if it would help with general day-to-day levels of stress and anxiety and all those sorts of bits and pieces that lift the mood, make me feel more able to take on my working day, my personal day, workouts, whatever that might be. I was looking for an increase in energy level and more drive to want to go and attack these things with better focus and better purpose. Again, I'm not going to tell you that that's happening and it's night and day. I do feel better for doing it. I do feel like I'm achieving something when I go in the cold plunge. You get that dopamine release from doing things which are difficult or uncomfortable and being successful. I can say, yes, I am feeling some effects of that. But again, it's not a cure-all, you know. It's not all of a sudden I'm you know, cheery and happy person and nothing's going to get me down. But I feel like this is contributing towards me getting to a better place mentally and physically. I am going to continue doing the cold plunges. I think having done it in the summer and started in the summer is probably a good introduction to getting into a good habit with doing cold plunge, you know, having a regular routine, when I want to do it, for how long, what I need around me set up, and making it as easy as possible to do it. As the temperatures drop, my hope is that I'll be acclimated a bit to colder and colder water temperatures. The coldest that I've been able to get the cold plunge to is 14 degrees Celsius. If you're watching in Fahrenheit, that would be 57, 58 degrees Fahrenheit, which again, it's not particularly cold. I want to try and be getting that down towards, you know, the 10 degrees Celsius, and if possible lower. But in order to reduce the temperature of the water in summer, when the air temperature is higher, so you know, it might be 21, 22 degrees outside, ice bath maybe reading 19, 20, you do need a lot of ice or frozen materials to try and reduce that temperature down. You'll also need to consider in the summer, have you got enough freezer space to store your frozen bits and pieces that you want to throw in here to bring the temperature down? I use a 1.5 litre bottle of water, 7 freezer blocks, and then 2 old ice cream tub containers which are full of water, and I'll freeze those every time I use the ice bath. And it takes up a whole freezer drawer, so make sure you've got enough space in a freezer for the ice, otherwise you're going to have to be going out and buying bags of ice every time you want to use it, which is going to get quite expensive. The question I get asked the most is about keeping the water clean. I initially found that after the first 10 times I used the ice bath that the water started to become a little bit murky, started to develop a little bit of a smell, not great, despite me showering and making sure that I was clean before getting in every single time, which I do recommend that you do. Naturally, the water from me putting in freeze blocks and other things, and obviously the temperature being a bit warmer, starts to develop, you know, little bits of bacteria start to grow, you know, the water starts to get a bit grim. I had people saying to me that they'd come back to their ice bath that they'd had outside and the water was going green, and not very pleasant to be getting into. What I do is I use chlorine granules. Now you can get these from places like The Range or B&Q. If you want to go out and grab a tub of them, I think I got a kilo from The Range for about 12 or 14 pounds. You can also find them online. You can jump on Amazon, and these are the granules rather than the tablets. What I found with the granules is that you can adjust the amount that you use. I've been using about a teaspoon of granules dissolved into 500 ml of hot water, and I'll swirl that around until the water turns clear. Then I'll let the water cool down before swirling it into the ice bath, and this has extended the life of the water considerably. Now I did have to empty it out initially when I wasn't using the chlorine, and it was a bit of a pain, to be honest, to empty all the water out, clean it out and refill it. So this way, using the chlorine granules, I would say once every 2 weeks is extending the life of the water. I will have to change it at some point. I do need to get some fresh water in here. Actually, having to do that less, again, just makes it easier to use, makes less barriers to getting in the water, getting in the tub. So in terms of draining the water out of the tub, there is a valve on the back with a tap. You also get a small piece of hose to try and drain it out. The tap itself does have a thread inside, so it's female receiver. So you could buy an attachment to attach a normal garden hose to that. A garden hose itself is quite a lot smaller than the diameter of the hose that you get with it, so there's potential you could kind of bodge something together and make that watertight to extend the length of that hose to get it out to a drain or somewhere that you want to drain that water. So there's things to consider really when setting up your ice tub, is that for me, I wanted it inside. I wanted it to be easy to get into this tub. If it's raining, if it's snowing, if it's miserable outside, I don't want to have that excuse and that barrier of not getting in the water. And you also need to consider, is it going to be set up in a place which is occasionally going to get a bit wet, because you getting in and out of the tub, you're going to be dripping water everywhere, no matter how hard you try. I would definitely recommend when you fill up the tub for the first time, you fill it up halfway and then get into it yourself and continue to fill it to a level that you're happy with. Like for me, I like to be able to get my shoulders in the water. I'm 5'11" and about 80 kilos, so I don't want this water overflowing. So I actually set the final water level when I got in. And then lastly, I wanted to address an issue from the first video. I was really struggling with this pillow, trying to figure out how was best to use it, and I figured it out. You need to fill it up with water if you want to sit on it. Fill it all the way up, seal it up, and then it will sink down to the bottom, and you'll be able to get nice and comfy in there. Obviously, if you wanted it to float on the top, fill it with air, but you've got a nice comfy headrest here. But yeah, fill it up with water. I really struggled with that. I wanted to clear it up. Well, I need to wrap this up really, because I need to get out of this tub. So thank you so much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed the content, please do subscribe and like the video. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments down below, or if you're doing cold plunges yourself and you want to let us know how you're going, again, pop it in a comment below and we respond to every comment that we get. Don't forget, if you do want to get yourself an ice bath, there's a link in the description and the comments with a discount code. Get yourself some money off. It also helps us out a little bit. Right, last thing for me to say is stay frosty and see ya.